These are the untold stories and rare photos of the queen of country music, Reba McEntire. Reba was forced to live her mother's dream by joining the country music industry. In return, she will be faced with many troubles that still haunt her today. What happened? Let's find out. Reba would begin public music performances in high school. In 5th grade, she joined the 4-H Club, a US-based network of youth organizations, and there she won first place in the junior act division for singing My Sweet Little Alice Blue Gown. Around this time, she also mastered the guitar and piano. Reba's life was at this point looking like it was on the path where she would end up as a country music star, but something unexpected would happen. She was forced after high school to major in elementary education so that, like her mother, she would become a public school teacher. While McEntire eventually graduated with that degree, she dumped it immediately after and continued on that path that enchanted her the most. Reba's first music success dates back to her high school days, when she was still performing in classrooms with her siblings. They were called the Singing McEntire's, and their single about their famous grandfather would make people start to take them seriously. The Ballad of Old John McEntire by Reba and her siblings was released by a local band, and it was received well in their region. From that moment on, Reba and her siblings started getting paid gigs at bars and dance halls in nearby Oklahoma City. They continued together until her elder brother left home for college, and so the group disbanded. But her father was going to present her with a deal that could change her life forever. Her professional music career started when her father secured her gigs at the National Finals Rodeo. After one of her performances, she was spotted by country music artist Red Steagall, who was impressed by her singing. Her mother pushed for Steagall to provide a contract for all of her children, but Red only wanted Reba because, according to him, she had something special. Reba recounts that she was hesitant about following Red to Nashville for her demonstration tape, but her mother persuaded her with these words: "Now, Reba, let me tell you something. If you don't want to go to Nashville, we don't have to do this, but I am living all my dreams through you." According to McEntire, this made her change her mind, and that was how she started her journey to becoming one of the greatest country music stars in the industry. In November 1975, Reba signed a music contract with Mercury Records, and by the following year, she would release her first song. I Don't Want to Be a Singer, Reba's hit track, failed to deliver on its promise. It was relatively successful, peaking at number 88 on Billboard's Hottest Country Songs chart. This was great for a young singer, but Reba came very hungry. Reba stayed with her band even though they failed to record a major hit track, and she continued her struggle to keep relevance with average performing singles. Eventually, she left when she realized that she was never going to be as successful as she wanted with them. This was a big, bold decision, but luck was on her side. 1983 proved to be the year she had been praying for, as her latest single, Can't Even Get the Blues, rose to the #1 spot on the Billboard Country chart. The following year, her single Why Do We Want reached number 10 on the country music chart, and at that point, it was almost impossible to keep resisting Reba McEntire. Other songs by Reba McEntire that you might remember include Someone to Leave, The Last One to Know, One Promise Too Late, You Lie, and Turn on the Radio. 33 years and a plane crash later, Reba McEntire is slowly retreating into the shadows of the industry, and most people argue that Reba shot herself in the leg at the very peak of her fame by believing that she could do everything. Firing all her managers to form her own entertainment company was a big decision, but unfortunately, it was going to come with a few unpleasant consequences. Her last public performance was earlier this year when she sang the national anthem during Super Bowl 57. Reba McEntire is an incredibly talented woman who, like everyone else, has a few regrets from bad decisions. But here's an event that would leave her scarred for life. Reba reached the peak of her career during the late 80s and early 90s, and as her touring schedule got even busier, McEntire and her team had no choice but to start taking private plane rides to travel for concerts. On March 16, 1991, Reba and her team had finished performing in a private show in San Diego, and at the airport, 2 planes were waiting to take them to the next event on their schedule. Reba decided not to travel that night, but the following morning, as she was very exhausted. She stayed overnight with her then-husband, her manager, and her hairstylist. At 2 in the morning, McEntire got a call that one of the 2 planes with her had crashed and there were no survivors. According to the news, the tip of the wing of the airplane hit a rock on the side of Otay Mountain, and this killed everyone in it. She lost 8 of her bandmates and 2 pilots, and the American singer has not forgiven herself ever since. They were like family to her, and losing them in such a brutal manner killed something in her. Many of her friends, including Vince Gill and Dolly Parton, offered her their bands to complete her tour, but she refused. McEntire recorded and released her 16th album, For My Broken Heart, in memory of her lost friends, and the album peaked at #1 on the Billboard Top Country Album chart, selling more than 4 million copies. Reba honors her team members every year during the anniversary of the crash, as she revealed that this was one scar that she might never recover from. "I went back to San Diego in November of last year and took a helicopter up to the crash site. I feel in my heart that they know that we missed them so much." Reba McEntire. Not many people know this, probably because it was not as successful as her music career, but Reba McEntire, at the peak of her fame, decided to play around a bit in the acting industry. She had her first film role as Heather Gummer in the horror comedy Tremors. As she revealed several years later, Tremors was the major reason why she decided to adopt acting as a second career. For her role in the film, Reba was honored with a nomination for Best Supporting Actress at the 1991 Saturn Awards. The following year, together with actors Kenny Rogers and Burt Reynolds, McEntire was cast in the television film The Gambler Returns: The Luck of the Draw. Also in 1994, Reba briefly worked as an assistant director to Rob Reiner in the film North. Reba, somewhere along the line, realized that it was impossible to try to be the best in 2 industries due to their busy demands. One had to go, and I'm sure you can guess which one did. Other prominent films where Reba was featured included The Secret of Giving, The Fox and the Hound 2, The Land Before Time 16: Journey of the Brave, and her most recent appearance, the 2023 mystery film Hammer. You wouldn't be too far off if you said that Reba McEntire considers acting as a hobby. It is only a debate today because of how good she was at it. She has not announced her retirement from the screens just yet, maybe because she has plans to return. Renowned American singer Faith Hill spent her teenage years idolizing Reba McEntire. After so many years of practice, when she believed she was good enough, she applied to be her backup singer, but she was rejected. This must have been a heartbreaking rejection, but years later, Faith would be very glad that she was not accepted for the role, and that rejection might just be the major reason why we know and celebrate Faith Hill as we do today. The singer who won Reba's audition that Faith participated in, Paula K. Evans, was killed a few years later in that nasty plane crash. Hill, at the time of the crash, had started getting noticed in the industry, and according to her, she thought of Reba immediately after she heard the news, and she would also compliment her for handling it so brilliantly. As a highly successful woman, Reba attracted a lot of men, but for her first relationship, she was going to choose a man who represented where she was coming from. Reba's first marriage was with steer wrestling champion and ranger Charlie Battles. He was 10 years her senior and had 2 sons from his previous marriages, but none of this seemed to matter to Reba. Unfortunately, this one was not going to last. Seems like Charlie was not ready for the fame that was about to follow his wife's singing career. McEntire divorced him in 1987 and left their home in Oklahoma for Nashville, Tennessee, to pursue the life of her dreams. Her second shot at love was with her manager and former steel guitar player, Narvel Blackstock. The couple tied the knot in a private wedding ceremony in Lake Tahoe, and it looked like she was happy ever after. But sadly, it was to have a painful end, even though it was with a man headed in the same direction as she was. According to Reba, she always felt that the marriage with Narvel was all about business. There was very little time to spend together as a couple without talking about work in 26 years of marriage. This strained their marriage, and they divorced in December 2013. Reba and her former husband share a son, Shelby Stephen McEntire Blackstock, who was born in February 1990. McEntire's next stop on the Love Highway was with photographer Anthony Lasuzzo. They started their well-publicized romance sometime in 2017, but after 6 months, they got over each other and separated. Reba is currently in a romantic relationship with American actor Lex Ryan. They met for the first time in 1991, but it was in 2021 that their relationship grew romantic, and Reba is anything but quiet about it. Occasionally in her interview, Reba gushes about how supportive and caring Lynn is and how she is not so interested in what might happen in the future. She just wants to live in the now. "I couldn't get close enough to him," Reba on the early days of their romance. "I'm telling you, he's a great guy to be in love with." The lovebirds have been seen together in public events, dinner dates, and so many other social gatherings. And I must say, Reba looks really happy with this one. We wish them all the best, and as she said, we also look forward to more amazing things from them. It might be a little weird to have former President George H.W. Bush on the list today, but if that many people were talking about it, then it had to be something. Reba McEntire revealed that she shared a special connection with former President George Bush and how they stayed in close touch until he died in 2018. Now, it's hard to say if things ever grew beyond friendship, but from Reba's 2007 interview with Entertainment Weekly, it sure looked like a very special kind of relationship. Anyway, she maintains that they were just close pals who sent emails to each other, and since there is no evidence to oppose this, we just have to believe that she's telling the truth. These days, Reba has been taking a few steps away from the music and acting industry. We assume that this might be to old age, but since no official retirement announcement has been made, we believe that she's still very much interested and would participate as her schedule allows her. Reba McEntire, now 68 years old, is all about love and vacations with the love of her life, Rex Lynn. She relinquishes old age in her mansion in Nashville, Tennessee. The singer and actress has an estimated net worth of $95 million. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our other videos of beautiful actresses from the yesteryears on the end screen.